Have you ever felt so stuck in life that you just find yourself wondering, is this just my lot in life? Am I just always going to be one of those people that will struggle in one way or another? I mean, even a panel of experts convened by the Leonard Davis Institute of Health Economics concluded that overall, the U.S. mental health care system is worsening at a faster pace than it is improving. This is not another biohack or wellness trend or nervous system regulation. This is getting to the root, pulling it out, and planting something better in its place. The brain is plastic, it's malleable, and this is how to reshape it. Hi, I'm Taylor-Leigh, and I'm all about the most straightforward, effective path to transformation and self-discovery. In this video, we're talking about how I was stuck and how nothing helped me to feel better, not even therapy, and the most effective technique that I use consistently to rewire my subconscious brain, why memory is the most important element to change, and the basic 7-step process that virtually anyone can do as long as they're willing. So grab your tea and get cozy because we're diving in. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right off the bat. We need to talk about this because not very many people are talking about it. It's not nervous system regulation. It's not another mindfulness practice. It's not another morning routine, journaling, meditation, breathwork. Those are all wonderful, beautiful, important things. But this is going deeper than that. This is rewiring our entire system. It's not changing our behavior. It's not changing the way we think about things in a way that we have to force ourselves to do that or remind ourselves to do that. This is getting to the root of our unprocessed emotions so that we can be free of them and that we can live our lives in the way that feels good and the way that we are meant to. In order to change your life, you have to change your mind. And this is my story. This is how I have learned to transform and continue to transform anything that bothers me. This is how I change my perception of it. For most of my 20s and unknowingly in my teens, I felt stuck in this endless cycle of depression, anxiety, and just absolute despair. I was a prisoner of my own mind without knowing it. I knew that I had to change my thoughts and I had to change certain behaviors and patterns, but everything I tried, it just wouldn't stick. Out of desperation, I read every self-help book that I could get my hands on, adopted mindfulness habits like I mentioned, ate what I thought was food that would heal me, all to end up back in that painful cycle and thus causing more shame to myself, thinking I was doing everything right, but not having any results from it. In short, and trigger warning, I didn't want to be alive. At least that's what I kept telling myself. And now, knowing what I know now, I know that it wasn't me who wanted to die. It was a part of myself that felt so stuck in a place that I never thought I would get out of. My body was giving me signs so that I could kill off a part of myself, so that I could rebirth a newer, higher version of myself that was longing to be born. For years, I was giving all my power away to doctors, therapists, food, a morning routine, a supplement, cold showers, anything that I thought would fix me because in my subconscious, I was broken. It wasn't until I realized that the power was within me all along that I not only started to heal, but transform. And thanks to a method called mind change, I know that my body is and has always been working for me. Every little sign or symptom is communication waiting for me to listen to it. Using the information that I am talking about in this video, I have not only been able to stop my depression and anxiety, but I also stopped doing insomnia, IBS, gluten intolerance, trichotillomania, improving relationships, having the birth of my dreams, and so much more. And by the way, I'm not trying to sell you anything in this video. This is just something that I came across on my own. The creators of Mind Change and the authors of the book, Heather and Kent McKean, have healed their own uncurable diseases and ailments and mental health issues, and have really just gathered all this neuroscience and information from a bunch of different modalities, just combined it into one so that we can do it on ourselves and that we can heal ourselves. This is not medical advice, and I'm not telling you to stop any sort of medication, supplement, protocol. I'm not gaslighting anybody's diseases. I'm not saying they're not real. In fact, they're very, very real. This is just a way to get to the root, which is emotional distress and unprocessed emotions and trauma. Because when I was in the depths of my despair, if you would have told me that I am causing my own suffering as a mechanism of my body to keep me safe, I would have probably cried in your face, called you mean, and ran away. So many healers, self-help gurus, and niche experts give advice on how to be happy, how to be healthy, how to change your life, but how much of it actually sticks with people that heed their advice? I have no doubt that these experts are sharing information to help people from their heart's best intentions, and probably because they have figured it out themselves. But I'd like to share with you a missing link that is missing between self-help and real, true self-positive transformation. Rewiring the brain with mind change. As taken directly from their website, Mind Change is a healing system utilizing the power of the mind-body connection. It is a method designed to allow emotional and psychological stability by reprogramming the brain's subconscious patterns that then positively impact our responses and behavior towards life. You don't need to know how the brain works in order for Mind Change to work. All you need to know is that your neural net highway changes every moment, and if we let it, our brain can collapse all the negative neural pathways and instead create new positive neuronal synapses and links to our past in order to change our future in incredible ways. And honestly, it can also be a little bit fun. I'll link the website down below in case you want to go deeper into Mind Change. They have a podcast, a few books, and a workbook. If you want to just start for free, you can start listening to the podcast. After meeting the creators, Heather and Kent McKean, myself, they would tell you that Mind Change is not actually a system or a method that they invented. Rather, they dig deep into neuroscience and mind-body research that is already out there, making it compact and accessible to anyone to use as tools in their own lives. The whole thing started when Heather basically weaned herself off of her deathbed. I'm not being dramatic. I've heard her story countless times. She has since gone on to help thousands of others change for good too. And let me just get the book so I can show you. Here's their newest version of the book, which that's something I love about them, is Heather is always doing more research on the brain and on its capabilities to change. I mean, we do know that the brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity means that the brain is malleable, it's able to change, it's not stuck in its ways. I have met people doing Mind Change, teenagers up into probably their 70s. So we need to talk about memory. At the core of Mind Change is memory. Memories are stored in the body, not just the way we think through visual or like replaying like a movie type of thing, but also through kinesthetic experiences, which is feeling, auditory, which is hearing, gustatory, which is how things taste. You know, when you taste something, then it just brings back this really nostalgic, comforting, or maybe disgusting feeling inside of ourselves. Olfactory, which is smell, and audio digital, which is beliefs and affirmations that we tell ourselves. And just getting a little bit into the neuroscience of it, the way we perceive memories is based on the reticular activating system. This is basically a bundle of nerves at the base of our brainstem that essentially acts as a filing system for our brain to filter in and out information based on our repetitive thoughts and beliefs. So a fact that they said over the weekend workshop that I just attended with them is that I want to say something like 95% of our thoughts today that we think are the same as yesterday. Meaning we are continuing to think the same things. And if those things are continuing to be negative, yeah, of course we don't feel good. But we can rewire them to think positive thoughts. So a way to understand the reticular activating system, this filtering system within our brain, is it's like that red car theory. You know, when you are thinking about a red car and then all of a sudden you start seeing them everywhere? It's like that. The RAS seeks to keep your life in alignment with everything that you know and believe to be true, based on your past experiences. For example, let's say two siblings grew up in a household that values excellence in sports, and this is based on the heads of the household, the parents. One sibling does really well at soccer and he is highly praised because this is a value in their household, while the other sibling is not so good at sports. Even if the second sibling excels in other areas, say academics or music or theater, he is not looked highly upon by the heads of the household based on their experiences. So he goes on to feel devalued, as well as maybe discouraged to try anything as athletic in the future. Meanwhile, the first sibling may grow up with confidence and a positive regard held by the family. While the red car in the sibling example is pretty surface level examples, the more I dive into mind change and my own perceived experiences, the more I'm able to realize why I have the beliefs that I do. And the best part of it all is that once I realized that I have the beliefs that I do, and these beliefs weren't serving me, they in fact were bringing my life down, I was empowered to change them based on what I want my life to look like and what I want to pass on to my children. Another important element of self-transformation is our core beliefs. Our core beliefs shape our worldview and are based on our past experiences. In the film Inside Out, we get a look into the brain of the main character, a young girl. She starts to form her sense of self based on her memories. Each memory powers her islands that make up her core beliefs, and thus her personality. Of course, this was all happening without her being aware of it. This is the reticular activating system at work. Now, when people say, I can't change my personality, I am the way I am, you absolutely can change your personality. You absolutely can change the things that do not serve you. However, we can't consciously change a subconscious belief. That would be something that's called as cognitive reframing, which does not actually get to the root. So how do we get into the subconscious mind? Well, we have to understand that when negative memories are stored in the body, in the mind, in the smell, taste, all those ways memories are stored, and we aren't able to release it, perhaps it's because we don't have the tools to change the memory. And yes, you can change memories. In fact, every time you revisit a memory, it changes ever so slightly. And that's also why people can be at the same event but have different memories of it, different perceptions. And that's based on their past experiences, beliefs, everything that has shaped them into the person that they are. So when we can't change the memory, or we aren't changing it, then these memories and unprocessed emotions, maybe negative experiences, are wreaking havoc on our brain, our body, our nervous system, our emotions, our relationships, and our reality. Why would you change a memory, you may ask? By the way, I hope you like my purple crayon band-aid. Early in my mind change journey, the concept of changing a memory was a difficult one for me to grasp. If I already knew what happened, how could I change that? Remember that memories are stored in various ways. The objective is to get into the subconscious mind to change the way the memory has wired our brain, the way that the memory is stored. So even if you know that someone treated you poorly in the past, you can still change the way the memory is stored so that it doesn't have this power over your life for the rest of your life, to get you out of a stuck cycle and go from being victim to victor, which is what they talk about a lot in the book. It's not about distraction from the problem or the memory. It's about leaning into the feeling, really going there, but hopefully for the last time. And this is how I changed, and I continue to change for the better. So in the simplest of terms, the mind change system works like this. Step 1, identify the problem or the issue that you want to change. A question that they ask a lot, and now I ask myself, is what's bothering you? Like, what is the bother? Identify the bother. This can be a physical ailment, a belief, an inner feeling, a physical feeling. For example, I know that if my toddler is really making me frustrated or annoyed or trying to communicate something to me that I'm not understanding, I know that I'm the one bothered by it. So the issue is not to fix my toddler. The issue is to look inside myself and to understand, how do I know? So this is the second step of the system, is how do you know that you have that bother? AKA, how is the memory stored? Now, if you're not understanding that yet, then just stick with, how do you know that you're bothered? Is it a feeling you have? Okay, where is the feeling? Okay. Is it a picture that I see in my mind? Like, I know my kids bother me. I can see them throwing things. Is it auditory, something you hear? Like, I can see the kids and I can also hear them yelling and crying and whining. Is it a taste? Is it a smell, etc.? That is how you know that you have this bother, that you have this stored memory. So then I really lean into that memory, that sensation, whatever it is, for about 15, 20 seconds. Like, really go there, try to enhance it. And then don't stay there too long. If you stay there too long, then you're rehearsing the problem all over again and reinforcing it into your body. We want to, step 3, pattern interrupt. Pattern interrupts, I would say, are the crux of mind change. And this is where things can get a little fun. We must interrupt the neural pathway. If you're so used to, okay, when I get annoyed at my kids, then my anger really boils and then I yell. Like, you have to interrupt that feeling. Whatever makes you set you off, you have to stop that and create a new pathway, so then you can automatically change the way you react. You can do things like jumping jacks, clapping your hands to hear a different noise, playing a funny video. You can do EFT tapping, you can sing a song, you can do math problems in your head if you can't get out of this thinking pattern that you're in. And this is pretty quick too. So we stay in the memory for, 15, 20 seconds, and then you pattern interrupt. Boom, boom, boom. Another 10, 15 seconds. Numbers are not crucial. And then you go back to the same memory. So the same feeling, the same picture in your head, whatever it is, go back there and notice how it's changed. Is it less intense? Hopefully. Did you notice something else in the memory? And then you just keep repeating this process until it doesn't bother you anymore. After the bother is no longer there, we're going on to the next step, which is to change the memory into what you would have rather happened. And don't hold back. Make it as good as you can get. Just keep on making it better. This is how the body remembers a new and positive memory and forms a new neural pathway. So instead of seeing and hearing your kids being crazy, maybe they're playing with each other with a lot of energy and giggling and expressing themselves, and they look at you and they say, "Mommy, I love you so much." Whatever it is, just make it better. The brain needs something to move towards. So we got rid of the bother, we got rid of that memory, we chopped it off. You can really use your imagination with these things. I've shred up memories in little pieces and thrown them off a cliff in my mind and turned them into compost and grew these beautiful gardens with my memories. Like, there is no limit. And once you start using your imagination for positive scenarios, for what you want to create, then you can let go of those worst case scenario imagination that you're already using your mind for. Now, while the book is really deep into the neuroscience, I wouldn't really consider it to be woo-woo at all. If you're into manifestation and prayer and things like that, this is where you kind of get into attracting the things that you want in your life. But you know that you don't just attract what you want, you attract what you already have inside. You can only give what you have inside. And finally, I would argue that this is one of the most important things, and you can also do this before you sit down to do this work. This can kind of be heavy work, so it's really important to do a few things, which is to practice positive emotion. This is what's known as the GPS. G standing for gratitude, P standing for positive affirmations, and S standing for smiles, which are happy memories. These are the things that we should be practicing after we've changed a memory. Again, the mind needs somewhere to go so that it doesn't default to the old patterns. And we are more susceptible to remembering the negative memories and the negative patterns as a way for our bodies and our brains to keep us safe. So we have to actively use the positive memories. Now, I won't go too much into this now, but if you struggle with positive affirmations, then it's probably because you're not actually believing them. So that's why we have to change the memory, change the way it's stored, create what we want, and then the positive affirmations will come easier. And those are the things that you're telling yourself. Heather talks about in her book that before she even healed all of her diseases, she started to be on that path, because in her mind, she just kept telling herself, I am healing. I am healed. I'm just waiting for my body to catch up. Whereas before, she just kept telling herself that she's sick and she needs all these medications and treatments, and she didn't know if she would get better. Now, it's really also important to establish what's known as a safe haven, which, again, I won't go too much into it, maybe in a different video, but again, they talk about in the book, it's creating a space for yourself that is safe, that is yours, that is a sanctuary and a sovereign place for you where nothing bad can ever happen. Nothing. If anything happens, anything bad happens in the safe haven, it's your job to get rid of it. A safe haven is anchoring us into this peaceful, this calm, this tranquil space that we are trying to create within ourselves through doing this work. Now, I'm going to go into a little bit of why therapy didn't work for me, because yes, I was in therapy for a number of years, and it really just reinforced the problems that I had because I kept talking about them. I kept reliving these experiences and reliving these memories, whether they were pictures I was playing in my head or feelings that I had. And for me, these memories of depression, of anxiety, they were feelings, and by talking about them, that just reinforced the fact that they were there. Now, therapy was a great stepping point for me to transition into bringing some light into the despair that I was carrying with me, and to be guided by a professional, to have someone there for me and with me. I would recommend therapy to anyone who has access to it. But this was also a way for me to outsource my power, for thinking that this therapist was going to fix me, when in reality, I had to find that power within myself. Some therapy modalities have been incorporated into mind change, such as EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. However, after a certain point, I realized that therapy was just keeping me stuck in the patterns that I was trying to break free of. And this is because I was rehearsing, aka reinforcing that neural pathway in my brain. This could be because it's easy to stay in the thinking brain. It may suck at times when you want to escape your thoughts. The hard thing to do would be to drop into your body where the actual feelings exist. The mind is what we think about the situation. We make up stories about it, but the body is the more challenging place because it forces us to sit with the discomfort. It requires courage to go there. Some body-based therapies get the client to go into the body, but the difference between this and mind change is that once we feel into these places, we are actually then trying to interrupt that and create something new that we want to feel. So for me, while it was helpful to be listened to while I expressed my feelings and be given some tools to cope with the things that bothered me, therapy didn't address the root cause of my problems. On a more positive note, I had the honor and pleasure of attending a retreat hosted by Mind Change in Texas last October, where I connected with people from all walks of life. One person is actually a mental health therapist who incorporates mind change techniques like pattern interrupts into her therapy practice. And she has shared that the clients that she does this with have had the most beneficial results of working with her. But back to my story and how I've transformed. Finally, for those who are wondering, okay, but how can you tell that you've changed? Is it just in your mind? Ding, ding, ding. Yes, that's exactly where it is. I was creating my problems, because that is how my body learned to keep me safe. It's no one's fault. It's not my fault. It's not my parents' fault. Nobody is at fault in mind change. Everybody is doing the best they can with what they know at the time. And that's why I'm sharing this with you, so that you can understand that there is another way out. There is another way to move forward and to change the things that are keeping us stuck. The more you know, the more you know. So, for example, my depression was a suppression of my emotional expression. Okay. I learned through experience in my childhood that if I expressed my emotions, they would not be held safely and would be squashed by my caregivers. So over time, my brain and my body shut down. They said expressing yourself is not safe. And that is what my body then learned to do. You've probably heard the quote, "The only way out is through." And mind change is the perfect embodiment of that quote. Through the body and through the mind. My favorite aspect of mind change is the focus on self-empowerment. Rather than blame ourselves for creating our problems, we can reframe this and put the power back into ourselves. Not only to heal, but to create what we want our lives to look like. So am I fully healed and do I have no problems? Absolutely not. But I have the tools to help me continuously evolve over time. I mean, that's what life is all about as humans, right? Life is like a garden. Flowers bloom, fruits, vegetables bloom, we harvest them, but sometimes there are weeds. Sometimes we need to pick out those weeds. Sometimes we need a little extra compost or fertilizer, right? So it's this continuous process, it ebbs and flows, but I do believe that most of our biggest problems that we have are stemming from our childhood, from our past, and that we can go in and we can change those memories, change the entire trajectory of our life. Now, they do like to say this work is not for everyone because you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to completely change the way you see everything. And you have to be willing to let go of those problems. Sometimes they can be serving us in a way that we don't realize it. For example, if we get sick all the time, maybe that's because we need care and we need someone to show that they care about us and we need to take a break, we need to rest. But if you are willing to go through with it, it is a journey that you will probably wish you would have done a long time ago, but that's okay. Everyone's on their path, and I am incredibly grateful that I learned about this whole rewiring concept. I probably wouldn't even be posting this YouTube video years ago because I had this fear of being seen and fear of expressing myself, thinking I wasn't good enough, that I didn't have things to share, but now I know I have really important things to share. The link is down below if you would like to check out anything they have on their website. They have courses. I'm in the student community. I'd love to see you in there, and just get the book. Just get the book, read it. They have a workbook. It will guide you through doing the work. I promise you it's not daunting. If you feel overwhelmed about it, then that can be a issue that you can work on. So that is my story, my transformation story. Thank you for being here. I originally started this channel as like a fitness channel because I'm a very deep diver and I wanted to go into the mindfulness of fitness, which I still do. But I know that I'm a multifaceted human and I just have a lot of things to share. And thank you for being here. If anything resonated with you, please mention it down below. And if you want to hear more about this, I'd be happy to talk more about my journey with mind change and how it's changed my life. So thank you.